Hi, it's me again with CorelDraw tips and tricks. The other day I made a video similar to this, and this thing is 5 inches across. So I changed my nudge factor to 5 inches. So I could go Control D and move it over equally. But then I grouped these together, Control G, and then I mirrored them. Well, I didn't evidently make a Control D on it. Then I mirrored them. And you can see they're like that. But I need to move them over 2.5 inches. Well, a viewer or a subscriber told me that he'd learned this from me, but I've never thought about it when you're using like 5 inches. So I would go up here and change mine to 2.5 inches. And then I would move the other one over 2.5 inches and they fit in there perfectly. And he gave me a pretty good lesson using the super and macro nudge. If you hold down the control button and move your arrow keys to the right, the micro nudge is half your nudge factor. I've never thought about it when it was like 5 inches. I've always thought about it was in like 0.01, and I just wanted to move it a little bit. I never thought about it cutting it in half. So here again, we've got, well, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, it's 4.73. Now, to make it easier with your ratio lock, you could actually make this 5 inches. And then you've still got your nudge factor set on 5, and you could select that and go Control D and move it down. And you could actually flip it so they kind of look like that, and then you could Control D and move it down twice. So that's not really what the video is about. It's about the considering, well, let's just do this. Let's make a box that's 5 inches. And if I nudge it at 5 inches, I'm going to hit the plus key and hit the right arrow key. And then Control D, Control D. It'll move it 5 inches. But if I only wanted half that distance, I hold down the control button. Well, first of all, make a duplicate of it. Hold down the control button and just hit the right arrow key. And you see it only moved it over half the distance. Now, with that said, the super nudge is double your 5 inches. So we're going to Control D, make a duplicate, hold down the shift key, and now it lefts 5 inches between the two. And then when you Control D, so that's a pretty important deal. But I've never thought about it when you're working with large movements. I've always thought about it in just minutely. And that's pretty easy to do. If you go to Tools, Options, and I believe it's under CorelDraw. No, it would be under Rulers, under Documents. There is your nudge factor. My nudge factor is set on 5 inches because that's what I set it at. But so the super nudge is twice that distance, and the macro nudge is half that distance. Now you can change that, but that's default. And just like now, with nothing selected, we'll make it what I normally keep it at 0.001. And now watch what's happened when I'm going to Control D and make a duplicate, and I'm going to move it over. It's so slight, you can't really even see it. Let's zoom in quite a bit. And let's select it again. And I'm going to use the right arrow key. Now, zoomed in, it's moving quite a bit. But if we hold down the control button, it only moves half that distance. Well, let's just kind of prove that. Let's bring in an indexing line and put it right there. Let's let our indexing lines be seen. So I'm going to move this over without holding anything down. It moved over that far. Now let's move it back. Now let's hold down the control button. It only moved half that distance. And with the same thing said, if we hold down the shift key, it'll move twice that distance. Even at that little bitty movement, because we're really zoomed in. So that's what I've normally used it for. I've never thought about it, and I'm glad he's reminded me of that, to use it on a larger scale. And I did a pretty good job of making that, because it's either you see a box or do you see a 6-sided star when you're zoomed in. Anyway, I hope that helped a little bit. Thank you for watching.